Gemini, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements. And if you're interested in receiving a personal reading, have a look at the description below because I'm offering a promotion for the month of May. So it's a good time to get a reading if you've been interested in one. All right, let's get started here for Gemini. What is the current energy around Gemini for the week ahead? Okay, Six of Cups coming out in the reverse here, Gemini. So that makes me feel like maybe this is a week where you're sort of being a bit nostalgic, maybe thinking about things from the past, maybe having a bit of a difficult time letting go of something from the past that has an emotional attachment for you. Let's see what is creating an obstacle for you right now with respect to this. The Four of Wands. Interesting. So that really makes me feel like right now you're at a place where there may be something from the past that has got you preoccupied, and it's interesting. It almost feels like moving on is the obstacle, right? Like if you think about how the cards have sort of arranged here, the current energy is being nostalgic, and the obstacle to being nostalgic is you moving on. It's you moving on into this sort of finish line. As you can see, it's sort of like a finish line, like where you cross a certain point, and I feel like that crossing point is you leaving behind something from the past that is an emotionally attached moment for you. There's something about this past moment that you're having a difficult time letting go of, but it's almost as if not letting go of it is somehow creating an obstacle when you're trying to move on. So moving on is the obstacle to the past, and the past is the obstacle to moving on. Very interesting. The bottom of the deck is the Ten of Swords. So that makes me think that whatever ended in the Six of Cups was painful. It was painful and it was sudden, and you may not have seen it coming, which can sometimes add to the level of emotional damage, right? Because it's something we didn't see coming, so you may need to sort of forgive yourself first. Sometimes we think that it's the person involved in the situation that we need to forgive, but oftentimes it's really that we need to just forgive ourselves that we didn't see it coming, or that we were involved in this situation in the first place. And that goes a long way to help release any kind of resentment or attachment to these past moments. So let's have a look here and see what is on top of your mind right now. What's on the conscious mind? Yeah, look at that. Queen of Wands with the Devil. So that tells me that you're hanging on to something that you need to let go of. It's looking at these two cards with these two cards. It's interesting. It's almost like something's got a hold on you here, Gemini, and it's in your best interest to let it go, because it's creating sort of some energy around you that could have some envy attached to it, could have some like revengey feelings, could have some anger attached to it. I mean, the Queen of Wands in reverse is not an energy I would ever want to mess with, because, you know, in reverse, the Queen of Wands can really become sort of, what's the right word? You know, like there's a lot of intense emotions here when the Queen of Wands is in reverse. And like I said, it can bring out anger, it can bring out sort of an envy. So there may be something you're looking at in the past and still holding resentments. And that's creating such a barrier between you and moving on. So moving on, although it's moving on that's coming through as the obstacle, it's almost like you're being guided to move on so that you can release this past story and get on with the current story, you know? And it feels like there's a lot of inner rewards there when I look at the Four of Wands. So, and it almost feels like this past narrative has a grip on you. So letting it go could lead to a big transformation, albeit uncomfortable one. There's the moon in reverse. Let's see what's driving this. What is at the root of this? Okay, we're seeing the Empress coming through in the reverse. So Empress in reverse can, again, be a time where we feel stuck. We've seen the Eight of Wands on the bottom of the deck. So it's sort of like you may be overthinking something from the past, and it's creating a very stagnant energy where you're not really able to feel focused or grounded. You're almost feeling unfocused and ungrounded, where you're not really connecting to the present moment. You're stuck in the past, and you're stuck there because you're hanging on to it still. You're still thinking about it. You're still feeling nostalgic about it, maybe looking at things through rose-colored glasses and not really remembering that it was a situation that you left for a reason. And seeing the Devil there with the Queen of Wands makes me think that this has a hold on you, that it's not serving you, but you almost have like an obsessive quality when you think about it. You can't stop thinking about it, overthinking, overanalyzing, and you're almost reliving it when you do that. So seeing the Empress in reverse tells us that you're not really grounded in the present moment. You're not connecting to yourself in a way that feels balanced, and it's sort of creating a stuck energy where you're not able to move forward into that Four of Wands, into that inner success, into that inner reward. Your divine feminine is all stuck and stagnating here because you're not really expressing the true feeling here. You're in the grips of something from the past, so you can't really be present right now. Very interesting. Let's see what the past influences are. I'm sure we're going to see something related to that Six of Cups. The Five of Cups, very related to the Six of Cups. Isn't that interesting? So in the past, you see this Five of Cups. You were let down, you were disappointed, or you felt a lot of remorse and regret, disappointment, let down, really hard feelings about something. And then in the present, we're still thinking about it and still feeling it in the Six of Cups. So very, very interesting, Gemini. This reading is very specifically pointing towards something that hurt you in the past and caused you to sort of feel a lot of grief and disappointment, maybe even betrayal, like we saw that Ten of Swords as well. The Five of Cups can really signify a time where our heart is broken. And seeing this really makes me feel like you haven't quite let it go yet. This past trauma still has a grip on you. And this old story is coming into your present narrative because you're still hanging on to it. So that needs to get released. And, then you might not feel as stuck in the past, right? You might be able to forgive yourself and be at peace with the past. And, it feels like you're dealing with a lot of heavy emotions around something. Bottom of the deck is this Ace of Pentacles, and I feel like you have this opportunity to move on. And this reading is sort of guiding you towards that. What's the upcoming energy? Okay, so upcoming energy, we see the Six of Wands. So you sort of change it up in the upcoming energy. You're moving from the Six of Cups in reverse to the Six of Wands upright, which says that you're going to feel like you've won, like you're victorious. And it's coming out with the Temperance card in reverse. So it feels like you need to be very gentle and patient with yourself as you move through this to get to that Six of Wands, where you're sort of releasing things and moving into a path where you're almost sort of feeling recognized for being yourself again, and you're sort of at a place where you're leading something and you're more optimistic and you're more present, and so you're able to sort of be more present and to release this past energy. Now, seeing that come through with Temperance makes me feel, especially because it's in the reverse, that there is this idea of needing to be patient, because you might be feeling impatient. You might be wanting to just get over this and get on with it. But I almost feel like you have to sort of do the work here and sort of really go through releasing this past trauma, this old story, this narrative that's keeping you stuck, you're not going to be able to find a shortcut, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, this is going to involve you doing, some work here with yourself to really look at this and let it go. And I feel like there is this new beginning on the other side of it. Ace of Pentacles sitting here with that Four of Wands. So it's very interesting. I feel like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but you've got to walk through the tunnel. There's no shortcuts, right? Let's see. How does Gemini see themselves right now? Nine of Swords in reverse. Yeah, because you're tied up. You're bound. You're feeling really intense anxiety when you think about the past, and it's like you're reliving this past trauma, and you might even be feeling a little bit of like, what if this happens again? And it's just got you overthinking. Remember, we saw the Eight of Swords earlier, and so seeing the Nine of Swords in reverse can sort of signal that we're going through an intense anxiety period where there's a lot of fear, frankly, and we're not really able to think clearly because there's also a lot of negative dialogue about the self, and the self-esteem has taken a big hit. And so we're feeling a lot of fear. We're not feeling confident. We're not feeling grounded. We're not feeling present, just like when we saw the Empress here in reverse, which is sort of at the root of all this. So the divine feminine has a wound that needs healing. And you might be feeling a lot of disharmony right now. You might be feeling like you want to overprotect yourself because of this fear that you could get hurt again. And so it feels like Gemini is really working through this week, right? Now, what is the outward expression? The outward expression is the Knight of Cups, which I love, because that makes me feel like the people in your life look at you and they don't see anxiety. They don't see past trauma. They see someone who is always wearing their heart on their sleeve. And they might even say that you're a dreamer, Gemini. You always see the best in people. You always see the best in everything. And it's almost like you need to give yourself that love and that attention that the Knight of Cups expresses here. So sort of moving to your heart's, moving to the beat of your heart rather than to the fears in your mind that we see in the Nine of Swords. And so it's interesting. You might be at a place where you really need to love yourself again and have confidence and to feel your self-esteem return through a more positive dialogue, a more optimistic narrative about yourself. And so, that's really coming through as well. Let's see here. What are the hopes and fears around this situation? Two cards. Two of Cups and the Knight of Wands. Interesting. So, seeing the Two of Cups here tells me a couple of things. One is that you're needing to see eye to eye with your higher self, so that you can really put this past trauma behind you. And I think we're also seeing the Two of Cups because perhaps this past trauma had to do with a lover. And you may be hoping that you and this lover will somehow move towards each other again, because this is coming through with the Knight of Wands. And we do see the Knight of Cups as sort of your outward expression. So it sort of makes me think that you haven't let go of this situation yet, because for some of you, you might still very much be in love with this person and hoping, but also fearing a reunion. Hoping for the reunion because you're still carrying a flame for this person, and fearing a reunion because what if this happens again? And it's almost like you're thinking to yourself, I don't know what to do because I can't stop thinking about this person, and I can't stop wanting to move towards them and to be with them because I'm thinking about them and the past and everything, including the hurt, but that doesn't seem to be dissuading you. It doesn't seem to be helping you to let go. It almost feels like it's keeping you hanging on more and more and more. Seeing that Nine of Swords with the rope tied around your wrists, it's like you've completely given yourself over to this. Gemini, so interesting. I wonder if this will resonate for more than just a few of you, because it seems very specific, seeing the Eight of Swords on the bottom of the deck again. So you're overthinking a situation from the past involving someone that you had very deep feelings for. And I think a part of you wants a reunion, wants a reconciliation. And the other part of you is like, but what if this happens again, right? Let's see what a potential outcome might be in this situation. Well, that came out pretty fast, the Hermit. So you're being guided to really look at things from a deep perspective here, a higher perspective, introspection, self-reflection, really, really understanding this situation from a perspective that almost answers the question of what did this experience teach me about myself? And not so much about why did so-and-so do what they did. It's more about what did this experience teach you about yourself, and how can I release this experience so that I can be grounded in the present moment and love myself and forgive myself and move on from thinking about this so much and maybe letting it go completely. Seeing the Hermit makes me feel like you're shining a light on this so that you can have a look at it. And I can't help but think that that means that you don't return to this situation. It almost feels like seeing the Hermit means you stand alone here and you move on. And you move on to a new pathway, Two of Wands, where you choose the next path for yourself based on what you desire and what you feel is in alignment with your highest good. So this almost feels like a love story from the past that you're being guided to let go of this week, and to sort of start to take steps towards looking at it on a deeper level to understand what this experience was meant to teach you about yourself, so that you can learn the lesson and move on. And to be patient with that, right? Very interesting. Let's see what oracle card you will receive to close this reading for Gemini about a past love that we are still thinking about, how damaging it was and how hurtful something was and how it left a scar, frankly. It left a scar that you're dealing with in the present moment right now. Okay, look at that. New life and thinker. Isn't that interesting? So it's like we see the energy of you overthinking, and we also see the possibility of you having this new life. So it makes me feel like on the other side of this situation from the past that you're thinking about, there is a new life for you. And we see that here in this new life card. And we also see it with this Four of Wands, where you sort of cross a finish line and you're free. You know, you're free from this situation that you've been overthinking and bringing back into your present moment. Now, I know for some of you, there is this sort of desire to see this situation return. And I almost feel like, you know, sort of giving the perspective here that if you can figure out what the lesson was here for you, then you may not need it to return, and you may not feel like you want it to return. And I only say that just because of this Five of Cups. We saw the Ten of Swords, we see the Nine of Swords, we see the Eight of Swords, we see the Devil with the Queen of Rods in reverse, which makes me feel like there was a betrayal. There was a betrayal here. And so wanting this experience back could be a reflection of that scar, that wound that was created, that says this is the best I'll ever do. You know, and it almost feels like if you can heal this, you'll see that there's a new life awaiting you, where there's so much more potential awaiting you. Six of Wands, new life, Four of Wands. And perhaps you'll find someone that you can see eye to eye with. And it doesn't have to be this past person. Very interesting reading for you this week, Gemini. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope it's been helpful. And I look forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care. Sending you so much love.